Episode 4 of Reacher Season 3, Dominique delivers a nice blend of past and present storytelling, deepening the emotional tolls while maintaining the brutal strategic character arcs. With Reacher now embedded as Beck's number 2 lieutenant, his mission becomes even more dangerous, and the ghosts of his past resurface in a way that hits hard. You can find the timestamps below in the description as we discuss the overview of the plot, the imminent confrontation of the past, a few character moments, the final scene, and my final thoughts. As Reacher drives through the night, Beck speaks with McCabe angrily over the phone, but their conversation yields no useful leads about Angel Doll's betrayal and their ghostly competitor who has it out for them. And of course, this entire time, Reacher knows about the real truth behind Angel Doll, the other drivers, the laptop, etc. Reacher is able to meet up with Duffy and her crew at the DEA safe house while he's supposedly out getting food for an hour, and revealing to them that Duke is now gone, the safe house was destroyed, and he is now Beck's number 2. Now, the safe house being destroyed kind of angers Agent Duffy for a little bit, and he says, "You're a smart girl, you can figure it out." And I'm sure the DEA won't mind if this case wraps up the way they hope it does, and just writing it off as a necessary thing. As they discuss Julius McCabe, he remains a mystery with no leads as Agent Villanueva tries to make some phone calls until Reacher sees the photos they took at the docks, realizing the important looking man in the black suit is indeed Xavier Quinn. Now, Agent Duffy pushes Reacher for details about Xavier Quinn, and finally, Reacher opens up, and this leads into a flashback where General Leon Garber plays a pivotal role in assisting Reacher during the Gorowski case. We finally see the introduction of Sergeant Dominique Kohl, who is an exceptional analyst and field operative as she's introduced. She's a very sharp cookie, sharp as a tack as Reacher says she is, and they both share a very sharp rapport, bonding over personal stories about their father and the car in the steakhouse where they grew up, etc. However, during this important stakeout, they miss the key drop-off because a car is blocking the other garbage can, and that's when Reacher says, "In investigations, assumptions kill," and it's obviously something that Garber came up with, and that has an effect on Cole because she can't really afford to make that mistake again. And really, the impressive thing about Cole is when she shows her interrogation, her questioning skills that she's able to extract from Gorowski when she's trying to get the name of Xavier Quinn, and it really impresses Reacher as he's looking at her from beyond the glass, almost as if he's talking to her and leading her in a way that she should be approaching this investigation, this interrogation with Gorowski, who's on the other side of the table. And we see why Reacher is so stunned and shook when the name Quinn comes up a couple times in the prior episodes, because in this episode he proves his cruelty as he kidnaps Gorowski's daughter to send a message that he has the power to do this at will. Even though he holds his daughter for overnight without any harm, it's still a scarring thing for a young child to experience, and it also makes Gorowski very afraid of Quinn. Eventually, Reacher sets up an operation who follows a Syrian arms buyer, Safwan Qasim, as a lead, and we get the introduction of Private Tony, who harbors an obvious crush on Dominique Kohl, and he's really too eager to impress, and Reacher warns him about underestimating the enemies, and it's a really ominous foreshadowing, because eventually we see how this all breaks down, as Reacher explains that you never have to tell Cole something twice. In the beginning where he says, "Don't call me sir, call me Reacher." Now the operation goes south really when Cole and Tony make the arrest. After no word from them, Reacher tries to text Cole even though he realizes that it should have only taken this amount of time, and it's taken a lot longer. Garber says, "Just text her and see what happens." And it's that unusual response that triggers something in Reacher, and he instantly recognizes something is wrong, and he mobilizes a rescue mission, discovering Private Tony is dead, with bloodstains marking Cole's last known location upstairs. As they do some further investigations into Quinn's juvie background, it confirms that he's dangerous and an unpredictable sociopath. With the help of General Garber, Reacher is able to track down Quinn, finds Cole in an abandoned shed as she's strung up by chains up in the top beam and tortured, and you can see that how resilient she was, and Reacher says that she won't give him up, and it cost her life. Reacher plays Quinn for a fool, gets the jump on him, and as Quinn walks back inside, he tries to manipulate Reacher, saying that Cole was in on it the entire time, but his bluff fails as he asks what Cole's first name was. And As Quinn tries to make a move, Reacher punches him in the face with a gun. In this brutal final act, Reacher drags Quinn to a riverside cliff when shoots him, letting his body fall into the icy waters. And while Reacher's initial calculation was to not use his own service firearm and to use Quinn's own pistol instead, a 22 caliber bullet fails to deliver a fatal wound to his head. And as he falls into the icy river, it allows Quinn's body to enter a state of hypothermia, which is slowing the blood loss, as we learn in the first episode from the reports from the hospital. And yet again, it's another miscalculation from an earlier Reacher. The story hits home, and it really affects Agent Duffy as she's realizing how much Kohl meant to Reacher and grows more empathetic toward him. And it seems like her guilt deepens as she recognizes the parallel between what Reacher went through with Kohl and what she's putting Teresa through. Because there's a stark reality that Teresa's fate might end up the same way Kohl's did. Now, the episode does end with a bit of a lighter moment, or at least briefly, where Reacher is attempting to teach Richie how to throw a proper punch and to hit the punching bag, only to see how hopelessly unskilled he is and doesn't really have strength. It's a nice moment between the two because you can see that Reacher cares a little bit for Richie, and Beck sees that attention that Reacher is applying to him because it's something that Duke never did before. I think through their conversation, Reacher is a bit less stiff and is a bit less robotic, whereas in the flashback, you can see that Reacher repeats some of his lines when he's talking with Kohl in the car about their fathers, about him joining the military and so forth. So it's a bit interesting that Reacher has potentially matured a little bit over time. The brief humor is cut short when Beck informs Reacher that McCabe's men are tracking Angel Doll's laptop in real time at a tubing facility with orders to eliminate whoever possess it. As Reacher races to intervene in the car, he struggles to contact Duffy as it goes straight to her voicemail, and it cuts to them in the facility where Agent Billy says, "Oh, I got no bars, danger might be closing in," and we cut to the outside to see that there are 3 men that Julius McCabe sent, or Xavier Quinn, to eliminate whoever is on the inside. It's a little bit of a cliffhanger, and I'm assuming that the 3 men will eventually die once Reacher shows up, and basically saying that it was Agent Duffy and Billy that to make it out alive, maybe. As for my final thoughts, I think this episode does a good job seamlessly weaving the past and present, and not every show that does flashbacks does a tremendous job with this, and I think it shows that Kohl's fate has shaped Reacher's relentless approach to justice. We get the combination of action, emotional weight, and strategic maneuvering throughout this episode with the flashbacks to the present makes this a pretty strong episode. And with Reacher closing in on the truth episode by episode here as we're halfway through the season, the question does remain, how long before his cover is blown, even though now he is the number 2 lieutenant to Beck. I assume that Agent Duffy is going to live, and Reacher, of course, but I think those 3 men will be unalived. I have a feeling that Agent Villanueva might bite the dust, though. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments section below. If you have any other questions or thoughts, please feel free to share them. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up, hit subscribe for more content, the bell for notifications when I upload videos, and I'll catch you here on the next episode on The Plot Strikes Back. Cheers.